What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be giving you my full spoiler review thoughts on Wonder Woman 1984. Now, I usually do non-spoiler reviews, but for this one in particular, I didn't really feel like I would be able to do the review justice without going into some type of detail, whether it comes to my positives or my negatives when it comes to this film. So again, mild spoilers for the review going forward, and I'm going to start off with my positives of the film. Without a shadow of a doubt, the most positive thing that I could say about this film is Gal Gadot's performance as Wonder Woman. This is her fourth time out as the character, and she just keeps getting better every single time she does it. I love Gal Gadot in this role. I'll be honest, I was one of those people that didn't think that she was a good fit for the character in the beginning, and I will gladly say here that I was beyond wrong, because she's absolutely incredible every time she's done it. And in this film, she is the best that she's ever been. She does such a good job of exuding confidence, power, beauty, and yet such vulnerability at the exact same time. So that was something that I really appreciated. Another thing is the actress that plays young Diana. She does such a good job with the limited screen time that she's had over these last two films, exuding such excitement and, again, vulnerability and power. And that's something that I really appreciated that Patty Jenkins and this young actress were able to bring to Diana in these two movies. Another thing that I liked a lot was the relationship between Diana and Steve Trevor. I was really worried about how they were going to bring back Steve Trevor. I wasn't really sure how they would be able to pull it off. I had a few different theories. I honestly thought all of my theories were dumb, and I'm not really sure if I care for the way that they brought him back in this film, and I'll go into a lot of that when I get into my negatives in that portion. But the relationship between Diana and Steve is just as good as the first film. So if that was something that you really liked in the first Wonder Woman, you're gonna get that in spades. In the first film, she was the fish out of water, and in this film, he's the fish out of water. And it works really well. At times, it gets really funny. And again, I love their on-screen chemistry. Gal and Chris have such great on-screen chemistry. A lot of times in TV shows and movies, you'll just see two hot people, and it's like, yeah, they're both really hot. Of course they should be together. And that's not how things work in real life. Like, that's not enough to make me feel like these two people are actually attracted to each other. And the way that they bring back Steve actually plays into what true love really is. Now, going into that spoiler portion, the way that Steve is brought back is that the MacGuffin of this movie is a crystal that was made by the god of lies that will grant you any wish that you desire, but also take something very precious to you. So again, there are good parts of this, and then there are also things that I didn't like about it. So the positive was the way that Steve was brought back. Steve was brought back. It looks like his soul was brought back and put into the body of some other guy. So when Diana sees this random guy for the first time, she just automatically believes that he's just some other guy trying to hit on her. But then the more that he starts talking, the more things that he does, she finally starts to realize that it's Steve. And then the camera pans away from the guy's face, and then when we see him again, we see Steve Trevor through Diana's eyes, which is something that I thought that was really beautiful. Even though it's this other person, what love really is, it's what's inside between two people. Therefore, the moment that she realized it was Steve, all she could see was him. And that was something that I really liked. And that's something that we see throughout these two Wonder Woman films. We see the world, we see the actions of everyone through the eyes of Diana. So it made sense to me that the way that Steve was brought back in this way, that we would see Steve's face through Diana's eyes. Again, that was something that I appreciated. My last real positive of this film was Pedro Pascal as Max Lord. Max Lord in the comics is a sleazeball, douchebag, rich boy who just wants to manipulate people and get more wealth, get more power, And I have to say that Patty Jenkins and Pedro Pascal has elevated that character for this film. He has a son. He is someone that has grown up with absolutely nothing. There were flashbacks in this film where we got to see him in school as a kid. He had really busted up shoes. He couldn't afford new clothes all of the time. He grew up poor. So this is something that a lot of people can resonate with. Someone who is a hustler, someone who is willing to do absolutely anything it takes to make his place in the world, but not just for himself, but for his kid. So when he tries to find the gem that can grant any wish, it's hard to see him as a straight up villain. This is something, the actions that he does in this film is something that any human would do. Could you imagine if you were given a crystal that could grant any wish? You really wouldn't think about the consequences until it already happened. And even then you might not, because you're just so secure in your wish being granted. And that's something else that this film does really, really well. It just shows the pressure on someone. Like, would you be willing to renounce your gift? Would you be able to renounce your greatest wish in your entire life to save the world? So that was something that I appreciated. Between Diana, between Max Lord, that was something that I really, really appreciated, and I think that the film does well. But honestly, guys, that's about it for my positives. I have a lot of negatives with this film, and I think this film has a lot of issues. I think this film had no business being 2 hours and 30 minutes long. And the first film was 2:30, but the first film had way better pacing. I think the pacing is really, really off in this film. And I think a huge part of that is Barbara. And Barbara is actually the biggest problem that I have in this movie. The Barbara character in this film is the most generic antagonist motivation that you can ever possibly think of. We've seen this in movies, comics, TV, any medium that you can think of. We've seen this type of antagonist. They're really smart, but they're also really dorky. They don't have a lot of friends. They're really clumsy. And then they end up being friends with someone that has everything that they think that they want, which is like wealth or power or beauty. And they think for some reason that just because someone has all of those things, that their life is absolutely perfect. And then when they, in this case, in Barbara's situation, when she makes a wish and she becomes like her idol, she feels like her idol is jealous that they're now on the same level. And that's what turns her into an antagonist. And then by the end of the film, they have a conversation, and then she's not really the antagonist anymore after we have the big fight. We've seen that 1,000,000,000,000 times before, and I thought that was so fucking boring. You went out of your way to humanize and make audiences empathize with a character like Max Lord. And then you take Barbara and then you turn her into this generic, boring, garbage character in this movie. Now, let me say this. Kristen Wiig is not the problem. Kristen Wiig does a great job in the film with what she's given. But my problem is, I don't give a shit with what she's given because it's so goddamn boring and generic. If you took Barbara out of this film, nothing would be different. When it comes to the events of the end of this film and what actually happens, Barbara is absolutely insignificant to everything that happens in this film. And it's really, really sad, honestly, that I have to say that she was the worst part of this entire movie. When I saw the early trailers, when I saw the early images of Barbara, I was really, really worried that that's what her character would be, and that's what it ended up being. And I have to say that I was really, really, really disappointed in that. Another thing that I really didn't like about this movie were most of the action set pieces. I felt like the CGI looked really, really bad. Whatever film techniques they were using to show Diana's super speed when she runs, that looked really, really terrible. There was a lot of silly uses of slow-mo. There's a mall fight at the beginning of the film that I thought that was really, really cheesy. A lot of the fight sequences really didn't work for me. The fight with Cheetah at the end is really, really dark because you can tell they were trying to hide the terrible Cheetah CGI. The design is terrible. The fight itself lasts maybe 5 or 6 minutes, and all they do is swing around power lines, and that's it. Sure, Gal looks amazing inside of the golden armor, but that's about it. The fight with Cheetah is really, really lame. She goes to Maxwell Lord. She talks him down into making him renounce his wish. She talks to the entire world, making them renounce their wishes, and it returns everything back to normal. And I just thought that was really, really boring. There's absolutely nothing in this film, besides what I talked about in my positives, that resonated with me. There is nothing in this film that needs me to rewatch a 2.5-hour movie just to get that. If there's any set pieces that I did like, I'll just watch it on YouTube later on. Or if I put it on, I'll just skip it to those scenes, because there is just nothing, for me anyway, that's worth starting this movie from the beginning and watching it all the way to the end. There's just nothing that I'm going to get out of it. There's no wow moments for me whatsoever. And I'm not saying that every film has to have these amazing moments, but there was nothing that wowed me. That No Man's Land scene in the first Wonder Woman film is one of the most iconic scenes in comic book movie history. And there's nothing even close to that in this film. I have to say that by the time the film ended, I was just extremely underwhelmed. There is a really cool post-credit scene, so stay tuned for that. But there was nothing that blew me away. There was nothing in this film that says, I need to rewatch this film over and over again. There's no scene in this film that was like, wow, that was amazing. I can't wait to see that again. So as much as I do recommend you going to see Wonder Woman 1984, forming your own opinion, because reviews have been really mixed. It's either people really, really like it, or they thought that it was really underwhelming and mediocre, like I did. So I definitely recommend forming your own opinion, watching the film, coming back here, and letting me know what you thought in the comments. Guys, let me know what you thought about my review. I would love to know what you guys thought about Wonder Woman 1984. I would love to have a conversation with you guys in the comment section below. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at JBExclusive and at C4Spoilers, because I'm going to be talking about this movie with all of my friends on Twitter as well. Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one, and I will see you guys on the next one.